live and unscripted with none other than Jen Saunders. That's me. How was that for an intro? Like I've never done that before. That's kind of funny. Um, 1 second. As I'm waiting for all this to come on, a bunch of stuff fell off of my desk that I actually need so that I can take some notes. Okay, so we haven't done one of these for a couple of weeks, and it might be another couple weeks before we do another one again. Okay, that was a total lie because I have one set for next week. It's going to be pretty cool. However, I just want to say thank you for your patience because I'm in the middle of, and I think I mentioned this before, a middle of some rebranding, reconfiguring what I want to do, how I want to do it, what that looks like, and all of the things. And so as we go along from here forward, you may experience some changes with me. And I'm just going to say thank you for being willing to like get on the ride, buckle up if you need to, strap yourself in and just be along for the ride. But also that this is a reminder of part of what my intention with you is to be along for the ride and to remind you that this is life and to not be afraid to make mistakes in front of you or with you and to burn some pancakes and do all those things because that's life. And a lot of times those are the things that hold us back from doing what it is we say we want to do because we're afraid of making the mistake in front of people. And so thanks for being along for the ride. It's part of how we smear the fear, but more importantly, it's part of how we become a righteous rebel. You're going to start seeing a little bit more of that. I know I've been bringing that in little bits. So thank you for being along for the ride and being a part of the rebellion. So with that, let's start how we always start. Somebody just said, what is that? So I'll tell you what that is. That is a moment of about 60 to 90 seconds where we become really present in the moment. I'll give myself a little more light there. And we're going to just do a quick breathing exercise. A lot of the time, these exercises are the same just for the simplicity of them and for the ease of you and myself implementing them into daily living. I don't know if you've noticed, I'm a big fan of sharing things from my own personal lived experience that really work wonders for myself and for the people who I've coached. I love sharing them with you so that you too can be a part of the magic of your lived experience. So with that, we're just going to do a simple box breathing exercise. I am going to add in an element today of when you're breathing in, I'm going to invite you to breathe in a positive feeling. Like go to a place where you just felt on top of the world, like you were the shiz. Whether you're standing on top of a mountain or maybe you just had a baby or you received an award, conjure up in that and bring back to yourself this space where you just felt on top of the world, high energy, just like, yeah, I got this. I'm going to invite you to breathe in that feeling. So you're going to breathe in on a 4 or 5 count. So a longer breath than you would normally take. And as you do that, I'm going to invite you to expand your chest cavity all the way down into your pelvis. You can think of it as a balloon. So start filling up at your belly and then breathing and eventually filling up your chest. So what this does, and I've never really explained this. Today I'm going to go into just a little bit explanation, is what we're doing is, one, we're slowing down you. We're slowing down the brain. We're slowing down the heart rate. We're working to bring the heart and the brain into coherence. A lot of times if we looked at a sinus rhythm, they'd be all over the place. And we're trying to do this. We're working to bring it to here. And when we're in that space, it's the best place to make decisions. It's the best place to really feel and experience because we're right here, right now. Everything else is either already happened and then a figment of our imagination, not a figment, but we forget the story or we get stuck in it. So it's already gone, or it's something that we're either creating and we're unsure of. And so we're bringing you right here, right now, into coherence with heart and mind. So breathing in for that 4 count, breathing in just that energy and emotion of just like you are the shiz. Breathe it in. You're going to hold it for a 4 or 5 count. Then you're going to exhale for a 4 or 5 count, holding the exhale for a 4 or 5 count and repeating. Now, on the exhale, I'm going to invite you to just let go of any just crappy energy that you have felt today. Anything that brings you down, anything that keeps you tied or stuck to the past, a mistake, anything that doesn't bring you um, elevated emotion and energy. So that's the count. And it looks like this. You're going to breathe in, holding that with the positive emotions or the elevated emotions. Then you're going to breathe it out, holding, releasing all of those lower energies, and then repeating. We're going to do it together. I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to invite you to either do this with a downward gaze or closed eyes, just as a way to remove distractions around you. Don't worry about perfection. Don't worry about doing it right. It's more about just practicing. So let's go ahead and do this together. So take that downward gaze or closed eyes, breathing in, holding, releasing, holding the release. Let's do about 3 breaths on your own. Let's go one more set. Beautiful. And when you're ready, feel free to open up those beautiful eyes of yours and just notice. Notice how you feel. Are you more aware of your body? Like, are you more aware of what your surface you're sitting on? For me, I can really feel my feet and the fact that I have my foot, one foot up on my toes and the other foot on it. So I actually became more aware of the pressure that my top foot is putting onto my bottom foot. And I just felt myself calm. I would love to hear about what you experience in this basically, again, 60 to 90 seconds. Just that calmness. We'll ask Katlin when she gets on what her experience was as well. So speaking of Katlin, let's bring her onto the screen. So like most people who you and I get to talk with, I actually don't know Katlin. I've never met Katlin. I've had one conversation with her, and it wasn't even just with her. It was with her and another person who we'll introduce later. We were having a 3-way conversation, a lot in regards to me and the stuff that I'm up to and how they're involved in that. And then all of a sudden, I'm inviting Katlin to be here with you and me. And to be honest, I may have gotten a little pushy because sometimes when I'm in a coaching situation, although in that regard, the tables were turned, I'm not sure how this happened, but I'm grateful that it did. Um, I get this just impression to start asking questions. And then sometimes this is uncomfortable for me. It's this push. Like I feel this, and it's not even me, this push to just push them a little farther and get that comfort zone stretched a little bit because I see the value and the amazingness in that person. And I love being able to help facilitate and bring out the awesome that is them and you. So with that, I really can't tell you much other than I know that she has been an Olympic dancer. She has written a book. She has I know that she's performed in lots of you should see her face right now because she's like, wait a minute, you're the right person. I told her because I didn't know I was just gonna make up a bunch of crap. So I'm just gonna bring her on the screen before she has a heart attack and is like, what the heck are you doing, Saunders? Hold on. Here we go. Caitlin,
Oh my gosh. Hi.
precious. Like, that was precious. You guys, I wish you could have seen her. She was like,
I'm like,
what
does
is
she have the wrong script or what?
Remember, there is no script here. So I
Yeah.
can say what I want. That was priceless. In fact, I don't think I've ever done that before. And I couldn't even think fast enough to make up crap. And then when I looked down at your face, I was like, I'm going to lose it.
Oh, man.
Oh, my heck. Katlin, welcome to Live and Unscripted with Jen Saunders.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, stand up. Look.
Matching shirts.
Matching shirts. So in the one conversation that I was a part of, where Katlin was also a part of it, I'm like, wait, I have that shirt. And then after I decided to, just coerce her to come on here, I said, I'll wear Twinner shirts with you. So thanks, Katlin. And look,
You're
I kind of
welcome.
have a matching hat today.
Yeah.
Right?
Love it.
My wife would be so proud that I almost match.
I almost wore my rainbow socks today too, but I was like, maybe that's a little too much. I don't know.
No, you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because I oftentimes, almost always, when I am speaking, because for those of you who out there who don't know that, I actually speak to, and you can bring me to your events. I love it. And I'm damn good at it. I almost always go without my shoes. Don't let that deter you. Oh. And I have on rainbow socks. I just feel like it's part of my professionality. It's part of my character. It's part of, I once learned, a friend of mine named Jamie, he said, it's like having a giggle in your shoe. And I thought, oh my gosh, why would I not want to have a giggle in my shoe or out there for everyone else to see? So always put on those socks. Okay. I have a question.
Yes.
Is Anna anywhere close by?
She's downstairs. I can text her.
No. It's okay, because I was just remembering we made an agreement that she couldn't watch this.
She said, so would you be mad if I was watching this? And I was like, as long as I don't know that you're watching it, then we're fine. So I'm just pretending she's not watching. That's
right.
in my space.
I love it. I'm going to just, pop on Facebook, but there's something else playing. Hold on. I had remembered that, because I know that some of the, there we go, thinking as I'm trying to talk, sometimes that's scary. Some of the other podcast interviews that I have done where I'm actually in the hot seat, and I think I go through the interview and I'm doing all the things, and I'm sharing from my heart and being as honest as I can in that interview and trusting inspiration. And I come away and I have like a vulnerability coma, because I'm like, oh, holy crap. Like, people I know are probably going to hear this. And most often it's like, in regards to family members, and the people who are closest to us. And so I just want to acknowledge today that I know that this can feel scary, and you don't have to share anything you don't want to share. This is solely about you and sharing the nuggets that we feel inspired to share, and which is part of why we told Anna she couldn't watch it. I'm going to let you introduce who Anna is here in just a minute, or whenever in your story. But if she's on, Anna, if you're on, I'm going to take it up with you later.
Love that.
Luckily, right. We had an agreement. Okay, so let's start with this. What is something, just like a little, man, do we want to ask that the background question? I don't know that we do. Let's just start off with this. What was Katlin like as a kid? What were your hopes? What were your dreams? What were your aspirations? What were you like as a kid?
Yeah, so I was definitely like happy all the time. Like, I was this like glow of light, and it's really interesting because I feel like I was, out of like my whole family, like siblings and my parents and everything, Like, I was the person that was happy all the time. And my siblings kind of had a hard time with that. Like, they kind of got annoyed with it.
Where
And
do you fit in your sibling group?
so I'm the oldest out of 3. So I have a
Okay.
younger sister and then a younger brother.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely happy as a kid. I loved playing sports. I played basketball. I was so good at basketball. I was a point guard, and I actually played for I started, oh geez, when you could start, which was probably like
5.
kindergarten or something. Yeah. And then all the way up until freshman year, I would have continued, but I chose like a different path. I chose to do dance instead.
Okay.
And oh geez, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Whew. Okay. And so yeah, but I loved playing basketball. My dad was actually my basketball coach for most of my basketball, I guess you could say, career.
Right.
And then I played volleyball from, in middle school and high school. So I was definitely like the sport kind of person. Like, I loved playing sports, loved being outside, loved being active. Um,
I knew I liked you.
yeah. Yeah. And I still I still know I could play basketball, but I don't know if my body can physically play because I haven't played in so long, you know.
Sure. Sure.
Um, but yeah, definitely love the sport. I'm trying to think what else. I love animals. I love dogs. Cats are okay. I'm a dog person. um,
That's awesome.
oh my gosh, I don't know what else. Anything.
Just as a kid, like what did you
Hmm.
want? Let's do it this way. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, okay. So my dad is actually a teacher, and I actually wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher for a
Oh,
long time. Yeah. And then I went to school for it, and then I just decided to go a different way. But yeah, I definitely wanted to be a teacher, or I wanted to be a nurse because I wanted to help people. I love taking care of people.
yes.
And
Oldest child syndrome.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if that was like a full good thing though,
Right?
because people pleasing got in the way of that one a little bit. So um, yeah, I'm trying to think what else as a kid.
Were you shy? Were you Well, you said you were happy all the time.
Yeah, I was happy all the time. I was definitely loud. Like, I was loud. And I don't think I was necessarily shy. I think I became more shy when I got older, just
Okay.
because I, worried about what other people thought of me and everything. And so,
Right.
yeah. And now I'm like hot. I'm like, huh. um,
So I left my jacket on the back of the chair.
yeah. So I don't think I was shy as a little kid, no.
Okay.
But when I got older, I was definitely. Yeah.
Cool. What were your junior high and high school years like? Being
Well,
being happy all the time. I think you said the glow of light, you're loud, you play basketball and volleyball, like did you dance at that point too? Or did you like take on
yeah,
dance as
so
a
I
freshman?
actually started dancing when I was 3 years old, and I ended when I was 18. So I did it all the way through senior year of high school,
Okay, so it
and
was
then I
something you were
stopped.
already doing.
Yeah.
Did you have aspirations to be a dancer?
I think sometimes, like, every once in a while, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it'd be really great," but then I'm like, "But would I wanna do it all the time? Not necessarily, no." It was more
Gotcha.
like, I wanna be a teacher, I wanna help people,
Did you ever think
so
about teaching dance?
I actually did teach dance when, so my senior project was on ballet. So I
Oh,
actually assisted my dance teacher for that year. So that was really fun.
I'm
I
saying
like
what
that.
what was fun about that? Like, what did you like about that?
What did I like about I just felt like I felt free, and I felt, um, hmm, I just was in like a whole other world.
When you were dancing or when you were teaching?
Both. But definitely, like, when I was dancing, it was just like, wow, I'm in, like, this world of, like, love and joy and, like, just plain freedom. And then when I was teaching, it was just like, "Oh, that's right, like, I'm the person that knows how to teach someone how to do something." Like, I
Ah,
have that like, I was confident in myself.
I love
And,
it.
yeah. And
Do
sometimes,
you
actually, I had to do it by myself, which was kinda nerve-wracking. But then I'm like, "You know what? I can do this. What are you talking about?
isn't
These
that
are little
funny?
kids."
Right? I know sometimes the little kids, they smell fear, they'll eat you up.
"Yeah, you're doing this wrong. Well, this is how we're gonna do it today."
Yep, and I love their just like honesty that way. Like, wait a second, we weren't taught it this way. We were taught it this way, and you're no, no.
Yeah. Well, you
Um,
could talk to the teacher next week about it then.
right? So
Yeah.
true. Oh my gosh, cool. Okay, so tell me about you said okay, so why did you stop dancing? I know that you said when we're gonna go to college, like you got into teaching, you studied teaching. Um,
Mhm.
what what happened to dance, especially if it was something that you loved so much and you felt free and like you said, felt like you were in another world. Like how why did it disappear and what did you do then to like have that feeling for yourself again or did you?
Well, it disappeared because, it was just my it just happened to be, my last year of dancing, and so I didn't really I thought, "Well, maybe I can get a job as a teacher." Then I just that urge to, like, do that, and so I just, kinda danced alone in my bedroom. That's what I really kinda did to fill myself up, and, I just I still love dancing, but I don't dance for people. So I just so to answer your question, it's like I just never felt the urge to, like, go forward with it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So so what do you do now? Because I think um the person watching and myself and you, we all have this desire to feel that sense of freedom or to have that thing in our life that we just go like we can exhale, like truly exhale and
Mhm.
feel that freedom and that whether it's movement or um just that space to expand and just without bounds and without someone pressing in or putting us in the ball. Like how do you recreate or have that experience in your life now?
Mm. That's a really good question. Um, every once in a while at night, I turn on our stereo up super loud, and it's normally when I'm alone, when Anna's not home, and I literally blast the music, and I start doing whatever dance move I wanna do, depending on, the beat of the song and everything.
I
I
love it.
do that, and I also, like, I go outside and I go on walks,
I love it.
and I look around like, "Wow, what's around me right now? Look at the sky. Wow, that's so beautiful." Like, I'm so lucky that I can see this right now
See,
and
I
just
knew I liked you.
feel it. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I love hiking. I love hiking. It's the
yeah,
other one that I have to that's the it's Anna's the one where I'm like, "Oh, come on, let's go." "I don't want to." "Okay."
right? We gotta
Um
find something where they can tend to the fire and you and I'll go hiking.
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
Um, yeah. I don't know, I've been working out every day. I started actually doing that again, and I feel more in my body and more like just feeling like, wow, I'm really proud of myself, like getting up in the morning and doing something that really fills me up.
I love
So,
that you just said that. That you use the words, "I feel more in my body." A lot of the things that I coach and teach and that I love helping people understand is how many of us walk around like we are actually living zombies. We're so disconnected from ourselves. We think we're connected, and the reality
mhm,
is that's bull crap. Um,
yeah.
we're not connected. We've learned how to bolt in so many ways. and I'm not even going to name them because there's so many ways, but that you said I have found, exercise, and I'm doing that daily to bring myself back to me. That is what I love doing as a person, as a coach. That's my passion and my purpose on this planet. So I love
Mhm.
that you just said that, and that it's that physicality. A lot of times it takes that physicality, actually moving our bodies and doing the thing where we become aware and we learn how to reconnect with us. Well, you just said the words that could get me going forever. However, this is about you. It's not about me. So, um, thanks for putting that out there, though, because I do think it's
Yeah.
important that uh, you know the person listening to us today recognizes, and I'm gonna invite and maybe put this out there, an invitation to recognize where you may not be as connected to yourself as you think you are, and actually sit down and take notice. Like, am I aware of how I
Mhm.
feel in a certain situation, or am I aware in my daily living and moving around of my person in the spaces that I'm in? Um,
Mhm.
and just double check, as the listener, as you, as me. I think it's really important that we pause, even if it's just that second, to be like, this is me in this space. This
Mhm.
is me interacting with this person. This is me. Oh, this is me. And I think that's so
Yeah.
cool. So um thank you for that. Okay, so I've been thinking, as
Yeah.
I'm listening to you talk about dancing and becoming free, um I'm like, where do I go from here? And maybe it's this. We're gonna play off of the freedom part of things. And
Mhm.
I have this sense that you walked yourself, or maybe because of belief systems that you grew up in, that you've lived in a space of time where you didn't feel as free.
Yep.
Um, is this a place that you're willing to go to today and talk?
Totally.
I mean, I
Let's do
know it's
it.
what we talked about as why you're here today, but
Yeah.
this is me asking permission to just push that a little bit farther. So can we let's talk about the spaces of there's a lot of ways we could do it, like the jail you were in, or the lack of freedom that you may have felt, in the closet, whatever term people want to use. Um,
Mhm.
let's go there. So you go to this place where you're feeling free, you're dancing, then dancing ends, you go to college, you get the degree, the teaching degree, I'm assuming, based off of
No,
school.
I did not.
Sweet. What did you end up
No,
getting your degree in?
nothing. Absolutely
Okay.
nothing.
Okay.
What's really cool was I actually started working full time at a hotel at the front desk, and I actually saved a lot of money for down payment on my first car. So that is actually definitely one of my hugest accomplishments. I saved 9 grand in 2 years,
Woo!
and like it was like I just bought like this 2007. I mean, this was like 10 years ago, but I bought this 2007 Honda Civic. It was like the best car ever. And I was so proud of myself. And then I was just, well, actually, I wanted to get a degree later. I wanted to get a degree in like, it was like office, it was some sort of office work or whatever. But then they kind of canned the degree. So I'm like,
Oh,
well, fine, whatever. I'll just get a full time job somewhere. So I haven't gone back now,
okay. Which is totally okay,
which is
because
totally okay.
right? It's not everybody's journey. And I
Hmm.
often tell my kids this, and people that I know, that you know what? Traditional college isn't for everyone. And sometimes having a
No.
mentor or someone to that you can work study under, or can teach you the ropes of actual life and how things work, because from a classroom to real life, there's a lot of learning of how that goes. So the fact that you got it the way you got it, I think is fantastic.
Hmm.
Fantastic. Like, I celebrate that.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Like, I went to college. I,
Yeah.
I have a college degree. I have a bachelor's degree in speech language pathology and audiology.
Oh, uh
I
huh.
know, right? I've never used it. I know so many, well, I knew so many things about speech and language that I never knew I wanted to know.
Mhm.
And I'm glad I did it. However, my experiences of learning outside and from other people and mentors actually have been more meaningful for me and brought more
Mhm.
value. Not that I don't, I'm really grateful that I did the experience, but the things that I actually use and have value came outside of that system. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, you have a car now. Back in 10 years ago that you
Yeah.
saved $9,000 for. Like, that is
For a
awesome,
down payment. Yeah.
right?
My monthly payments were like 120 bucks a month. I'm like, that has never happened ever before. That's crazy.
That's amazing, amazing, and I
Yeah.
feel I'm guessing the person listening to us today is going, "Yeah, I know what that's like," or like, "Wow, it'd be really awesome to do that." So, we
Yeah.
celebrate those who've been able to do that and,
Mhm.
and say, for those that it hasn't, it obviously can happen. So,
Yeah,
let's get
it
to work,
can.
right? And if you need some assistance with how to make those steps happen, reach out. We can help you,
Yeah. Or I could try. That was
right?
also 10 years ago, so we'll see.
No,
Just kidding.
no, we can do it. Okay, so let's you now have this car, which is actually a form of freedom.
Mhm.
So when did things start shifting for you? Or did they shift? Or how do we dive into this next piece?
Yeah, so, what's interesting is, so I got that car in 2009, and so, like, fast forward in 2011, well, let's rewind. So 2005
Ooh,
is, I went to girls' camp, which is, LDS thing, which I was not born and raised LDS. I
okay,
was
so
born and raised, non-denominational. Yes.
okay, so for the person who's listening who doesn't know what LDS is, it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormons, although they don't like to be called Mormons right now. Um,
Mhm,
and they have an organization like most religions. They have a segment for their youth. And so Caitlin is talking about the the youth program for ages 12 through 18. I do know that they have changed that a little bit. Some
mhm,
they don't go by I think they go by birth year now and not just
mm.
when your actual birthday. So there could be some 11-year-olds in that because they go by year. But yearly, kind of like the scouts that have their scout camps and things like that. The LDS Church also has a program for the young women, which is called Girls Camp. They still do Girls Camp. It's changed from when you and I went. Um,
Mhm.
uh, but it's a usually a week-long event where the girls between 12 and 18 go out in nature, they camp, they learn camping skills, they learn they actually, first aid, cooking, all of the things. So it was one of my absolute
Crafts, whatever you wanna,
crafts,
yeah.
right? Swimming, just for reals for me, it was my absolute favorite time of the year, even more than Christmas, because
Oh.
I felt free. I felt connected. I felt like the shiz on top of the world. I could not wait for girls' camp to happen. So,
Mhm.
okay, back to you, girls' camp.
Okay, so actually I had a friend that was LDS that invited me there, so that's
Okay.
why I went.
Okay.
And so I show up, and then that's actually the first time I met Anna, my wife.
What?
Yeah, she was so she was my junior leader.
Okay.
It's actually really funny. She was setting up a tent, and I know exactly what she was wearing. She was wearing her "I love camping" camo hat, and she was wearing her cargo pants, like tan cargo pants, and then the shirt was like it was pink, girls' camp colored. I think it was pink for junior leaders or something.
Right, because there's
And
always themes and things like that for this,
yeah, yeah.
which is super
So
fun.
so that's when I first met her.
Okay.
And then we kind of like became friends, and she tried to introduce me to the Book of Mormon, and I'm like, no, okay, I'll just read the Bible for right now. So then we lost contact. So after girls camp, I mean, I didn't have a cell phone, Anna didn't have a cell phone, we didn't have any way of communicating to each other. So 6 years later, we ran into each other again at a Relief Society dinner. or meeting. I think that's what it was called.
Okay. And
And
Relief
that was
Society is the organization inside the LDS Church for women 18 and older.
Yep. And it was actually really funny. I ended up going because I just didn't feel like going to one of my classes. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll just show up for a free chicken Alfredo dinner or whatever.
Right? They usually do
So
it well. They usually do it
yeah.
well.
Oh, it was so good. And so I walk into this room, and all of a sudden I see Anna in like the far corner, and
Did
we
she
just
have
like
on
look at
hat
each other.
and cargos?
So she didn't. So I'm trying to think. I think she was just wearing jeans, and she was just wearing like a zip up blue jacket with no hat on. But I knew exactly who she was. I was like, this is Anna. And we both smiled at each other.
Did
And
you
it was
say
just like
6 years later? 6. I can't get it
6
all.
years later.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I just remember having butterflies like in my stomach. Like I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm really nervous. Like this is, but also super exciting. Like, what is this, you know? And so then,
Time out.
yes,
Are you telling me that you have leanings?
leanings.
This is the code word that my wife uses because she for a long time didn't like to use the word gay or same-sex attraction or
Honestly, I had no idea what it was
okay.
because
You
in
just
my
knew that you
past,
felt
I've
something.
always, yeah, because in my
Okay.
past, I've always dated men. Like it was never women. So this
Okay.
was like, oh, I just feel really drawn to her. Like we're really, I just really wanted to be her really good friend. And actually, that was Memorial Weekend. And ever since then, we've hung out ever since.
Wow. How many years ago was that?
That was 10 years ago.
Wow. When
And
you
we
brought
actually
the
got
car.
married Memorial Weekend. So
What?
Memorial Weekend's just like Memorial Day is actually when we got married. So if Memorial Weekend's just a great weekend.
Right? Lots of memories there.
Yeah, lots.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said you didn't really understand what it was you were feeling. So
Mhm.
go back to, like 16 years ago now, right? That you actually
Yeah.
see Anna for the first time. Um,
Mhm.
how old were you?
Oh geez, 2005. So that was I graduated in 2009. So 15?
Okay.
No, 14. 14.
Okay, so 14, 15,
Somewhere
you
around there. Yeah.
recognize her. What was the experience then? Like what did you feel? What did you think? What
It
was that?
was just like I felt like I already knew her and that I felt safe with her, and I didn't even know much about her. I just wanted to learn more about her.
Yeah. Okay. And so moving forward to the
Mhm.
Relief Society dinner and you see her again,
Oh, she was so beautiful. I was
right?
just like,
Your
"Oh,
face said it
man."
all.
Yeah. It was just
So
like, yeah.
not having I'm assuming based off of what you've just said to us that you still didn't know inside
Mhm.
yourself like what any of this like are you okay if I use the word attraction? What this attraction is
Oh,
because
totally.
you're not attracted to anyone. But like
Mhm.
what it was. I know for myself, um, when I met the person who brought me out, um, we were in a room of 500 people. I happened to be with my neighbors. I was married at the time, and I was there with my next door neighbors and my husband.
Mhm.
And I remember seeing this girl in a red running shirt, and she was there with some of her friends, and it was seriously like a magnet pulling me towards her, and I was like, oh my gosh, duh, like she's a runner. She has a running shirt on. We're told we can totally be friends.
Mhm.
But then later I was like, I think she's checking me out and I think I like it. And then I'd be like, well, you're here with your husband. We're like, what the heck? Like it really became that's kind of where I was really like, I wonder. Now, I have more to my story. You know, that wasn't the first time, but that was the first time it just like smashed me in the face. Like, whoo,
Mhm.
there's something. So what was that like for you? Like, when did you figure that out? What was that process like for you? Especially now that Anna's re-entered the room looking gorgeous as ever. And you're like, wow,
Yeah.
like, what is this?
Well, honestly, like hmm, I just wanted to learn more about her. And I really didn't know that I was like attracted to her until like 2012 when Anna moved back to Utah to finish school at BYU. That's when
Okay.
I was like, "Oh, wow. I I miss her and I want to be with her." And yeah, because yeah.
Okay, so I have a question that just popped into my mind of you said you grew up non-denominational.
Mhm.
So, um, having grown up LDS, uh, I know what that's like. And I know what I personally got to move through and overcome in order to embrace who I am, who I fully am.
Mhm.
Um, what was that experience like for you? What does it first of all, what does it mean? Help me understand and the person listening understand what it means to grow up non-denominational, how you have do you have connection with source, God, higher energy, whatever, you know, that is for you.
Mhm.
How does that play in your life? And then how does that play into your experience of meeting Anna and then this recognition inside yourself of like, wait a second, there's something else here, and then that moving forward process.
Mhm. Yeah, so yeah, non-denominational, you read from the Bible. I mean, it's just
Okay.
from the Bible, and it's all between a man and a woman,
Okay.
and it's just very straightforward. And so, yeah, I mean, I was really raised. I mean, I believed that I would have found a man, got married, and had children. That's and be a stay-at-home mom. That's what I really thought my life was going to be.
Okay, so
And
that is something that even though it's non-denominational, at least in your experience,
mhm,
that is the story or the model that was taught um, or expressed in your growing up as well. So there was some of that like traditional
yes,
teaching to overcome or move through.
yep.
Okay.
And when I started hanging out with Anna, it was very hard for me to think that I would want to date her due to like my beliefs, right? My religious beliefs. And so I had to hide it from my parents because it was very like not okay. And yeah, I'm trying to think what are your other questions?
Um, so no, you're on the right track. I know I asked a whole
Okay.
bunch at the same time. Of it's that piece of like leading into what feels like prison,
Yeah.
the shackles, the hiding, and it's like, what were the things that created that for you? Hiding from your parents, obviously, that's a biggie. Like when we can't
Yeah.
share parts of ourselves, it
Yep.
is it is so destructive. And
Mhm.
so like how did you, knowing that you now have feelings for Anna, I'm assuming because you're together,
Yeah.
um, how did you move through that process of I'm probably hiding
Mhm.
from most people, not just my parents. Um, I have this belief system that I was taught, but I have this stuff, these feelings, these emotions that are just like they feel like dancing because you
Yeah.
feel free when you experience them. And it's like they bump up, all of these things start bumping up against each other. And how did you maneuver through that to be
Mhm.
where you're at right now? Like what was that process for you? How long did it take? What did it look like?
Yeah, so I lived with my parents at home, so it was
Okay.
definitely really hard to hide it from them. So I would always go to Anna's house to like hang out with her. and everything.
Now,
And
did Anna have her own place, or was she with her parents
no,
as
so
well?
Anna lived at her parents' house as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when she moved away to Utah, it was only 5 months later, and I ended actually moving to Utah as well,
Okay.
moving in with her, because I just felt like I was just like, I miss her. Like, I want to see if this is going to work. And I don't even know how it's going to work, like our relationship, but I want to see if it's going to work, because if I stay here and live at my parents' house, it's not going to work.
Right.
It just
Right.
won't happen because I'm too scared, or whatever came up for me at that time.
So did you have, just out of curiosity, I know for myself, when I was I didn't ever date Francie, but when
Mhm.
I was in relationship with Francie, um, and I had the freedom to be in relationship with Francie, I remember I used to think, how does this even work? Like, wanted to hold her hand, and I wanted to let inhibitions down, but I'm like, I don't even I almost couldn't visualize what it might be like to date, because for myself, I was so the only word that's coming to mind is indoctrinated, and I mean that with no disrespect. I was indoctrinated with the belief system that I grew up in, and that was a man and a woman. And so I had a really hard time even imagining, like, waking up in the morning, living in the same house, waking up in the morning, cooking breakfast, getting ready, sending each other. Like, I couldn't even think that through. What was that? Did you have similar things?
It was definitely hard. I um yeah, I'm trying to think. Um I definitely fought in my brain a lot, like, should I be with Anna or should I just move back home? Because it's like, if my because I didn't tell my family that I was with Anna until a year before we were getting married. Like, we were in the closet for so long because
What
I
is
did
so
not
long?
want.
Give me a time
Why?
frame. What is so long? Like, how long?
So we started dating in 2012, but I didn't tell. So for 5 years, I did not tell them until 2017 when we got engaged,
Okay,
because I was so deathly afraid that they would disown me because I loved my family so much.
right. And this is a fear that most people in this community of people experience. I can't say everybody because I don't know that, but from my experience of talking with people, most people have that to some degree or another.
Yeah. And what's actually interesting was I didn't even tell my parents in person. I ended up writing a letter, and because I told my brother, like, hey, like, could you, because I told my brother that Anna and I were together, and he was just like 100% supportive, like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, I love you. And then I wrote the letter because I'm like, I can't tell my parents in person like that. I just can't even deal with how they
the
would
look on their
react.
face. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I wrote them a letter telling them, and my brother actually gave it to them.
Wow.
And I mean, that's how afraid I was. It's like I couldn't even give them the letter.
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I would have done this differently. But then I'm like, no, I did it the way I needed to do it at the time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I gave him the letter, and I actually left it in their court when they would reach out to me. And I remember the response back to my mom. She just texted me. She didn't call me. She just said, "You
Because
know
again,
how we feel
probably
about this."
hard for
And I'm
her.
like, "Lovely." I'm like, "Okay." And so for a while, I was really thankful I lived in Utah and they lived here in Washington because we had that distance. I had my own life in Utah, and I had freedom in Utah to be myself more with Anna than I could be here in Washington where our families were.
Right, where it's all just right there, kind of in your face,
Yeah.
and not like, I don't mean in your face, like in your face, but it's just right there. It's very
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to go back to this this somewhat jail time of 5 years
Yeah.
of this hiding space of time, um, and I would like to hear a little bit about what it like. It's so interesting that you brought this up because it's something that I was hoping we could talk about today is what it does to a person when you I don't even want to use the word hide when you choose to hide for your safety, um,
Hmm.
or for what you feel like is your safety for so long. Like what I know what it did for me, and it wasn't anything positive. What was your experience with that of hiding for 5 years? Again, you're with the person you love and the person you want to be with, but it still does something to a person. And can you help our listener understand like and they may under have an understanding in other areas, but from
Hmm.
this viewpoint, from this particular lens, what was it like to hide? How what was your confidence level? How did you move forward? How did you the things?
Well,
How do you
when I
function?
was hiding, I definitely didn't want to talk to my family at all.
Because
And because I knew I had to tell them I was with Anna, but I didn't want to. I wasn't ready to tell them.
okay, so you wanted to tell them the truth, but you didn't want to lie, but you weren't ready for the truth or
Right.
the
But then I
consequences
also
of the
knew
truth.
they knew, like they knew, but I knew they didn't want to ask.
Right,
I mean, it was very clear. Anna and I spent all our time together. I mean, how would you not know? Like really.
right. Well,
And
I know that,
yeah.
and you know that, and we do know that it's for a lot of people, it's a safety to not know or to not acknowledge. It is a safety, and
Mhm.
until people are ready, we
Yeah.
get to
Well,
give them that space.
and Anna was really supportive too, because she came out to her parents first. Um, I
Which,
think
by
she
the
came
way,
out to her.
we
Hmm.
had Anna on for those who are listening who may not know. We actually had Anna on in July, so go back a little bit and you can listen to Anna's portion of the story and Anna's experience as well of some of this. That's it's not everything we talked about, but it's a great interview, and I would encourage you to go listen to. Okay,
Hmm.
back to
Well, and also another thing, like what helped me was I had friends that were really supportive. Like we had like other like gay couples that either were out to their family or wasn't out, and they were really like respectful that I hadn't come out to my parents yet. And there were some that were like, "Oh, come on, like you should just do it." And I'm just like, "Well, I'm not ready." And Anna was always 100% supportive, like, "Caitlin, you're going to tell them in your own time. I can't force you to tell them."
right.
And
Did
but it
did
was
that
definitely hard.
did that cause? Do you feel like that caused any strain on your relationship? Because I know in mine, um, it
Yep.
it created strain in my relationship that I was way more out than my sweet wife, who didn't tell her family. And again, they knew they had to have
Mhm.
known. But we
Yeah.
get to give them that space. She didn't tell them till 2 weeks, 2 weeks before, maybe a week before we got married.
Oh my
Shocker!
gosh. Wow. Wow.
That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day.
Yeah.
But did
Yeah.
there I know there was tensions. Did that is that something you found in your relationship?
So what's interesting is when we Anna and I found our first apartment together, because for a while when we both lived in Utah, we had other roommates. And so we had friends, like we had some friends that knew about us and other people that didn't know.
Right.
And but we eventually got our own apartment together in West Jordan. And it was interesting. Like it was fun. And then I went through a period of time where I was just like, I need to move back home. I can't do this anymore. And that was in, I think that was in, oh man, I don't even know what year that was. But and Anna was, I think Anna just, yeah. So I moved to Washington, And Anna and I were just like, I was over it. Anna was just like, I'm fine, whatever, we're done, blah, blah, blah. And so I moved to Washington back in with my parents. And then I got to my parents' house and I was there for 12 days. And my dad's like, you should find a job. And I had no motivation to find a new job to start a life back in Washington. And the whole time I was thinking of Anna, I'm like, why the heck did I move? But there's a reason. I had to move to find out that I needed Anna, that I needed to be with Anna, and I needed to make it work. If I would have never moved back, I would have never realized that. I have no idea what would have happened.
Right.
And I moved back. I called Anna like, I don't know, 12, because we talked every day when I was there. Yeah. And Anna's like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, I found another apartment, blah, 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 like all that stuff. And I was like, well, I want to move back and I want to make it work. And she's like, great, you could pick me up at the airport, because she went somewhere for something, a conference. And she's like, great, you could pick me up at the airport at 3 p.m. And so I ended up leaving on a day at 3 a.m. and I drove from Washington to Utah to pick her up at the airport, because I needed to like prove to her. I mean, that's what I was doing for, I don't even know, it must have been a year or maybe 6 months. Like, Anna's like, we are going to have boundaries, like, because I can't just put myself, like, I can't put all myself to you.
Right.
Because you hurt me. You just left. And I said, yeah, you're right.
Is that kind of a, I guess we could say, for anyone listening, it's that earn the trust back period.
Yes,
and
100%.
Like I'm hurt deeply and I want to let you in, but I can only allow you to be in this much. And now, okay, now and it's not even that you have to prove to me. It's me healing my heart and knowing, like, are you really committed to this? Are you committed enough to yourself to be committed to this? So it's that slowly letting back in, being a part of, but at the distance that feels safe and healthy. Is that kind of what was going on?
Yep. And after I left, I mean, my parents knew. Like, they knew, they just didn't want to say anything.
Well, you'd written them a letter.
Yeah. But that was still 2 or 3 years later. That's the thing. Like,
the letter came after you moved back home and then moved back to Utah?
The letter, I wrote them a letter in October of 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we got engaged 2017, November 2017, and then married 2018. Yeah.
Wow. So how did this coming out process for you, and really owning this piece of you, understanding, first of all, and own, of course, I don't know, do we ever really understand it? I don't know that we ever really understand it. We just, how did it free you? How did this learning to understand you and coming out to your family, coming out in a way that you and Anna can now be closer and more honest relationship? Because that's the thing, is we can't actually have an honest relationship if we're not honest outside of ourselves too, in my opinion. But once we get to that space, then our relationship actually can grow like leaps and bounds in healthier ways. What was that like for you to finally hit that space of like, this is me, and this is what I'm doing, and this actually feels right. It feels healthy and freeing, and it feels like a dance.
Yeah, it definitely, because we got engaged in 2017. And when I texted my parents and I told them, like, hey, I'm engaged, like, we're getting married this time, and they texted back saying whatever they said, it was just like, I don't even care what you guys think anymore. I'm happy, and I don't even care if you show up or don't show up. I mean, they ended up showing up, and
wow. Okay, that's big.
Is what you want in your life. I'm happy. I'm happy with Anna. And it
How
doesn't matter, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so your parents showed up, that's really big. Um,
Yeah.
how how did they how did they show up? What was their response? What was their, did they respond? Were they reactionary? What was that like, knowing that they weren't probably still in agreement, but they made the effort to be there? But was it an effort of like, this is how we can show you we support you? This is a step of us trying to learn and understand, or was it a, we're here to show you that we're here, but we don't agree? Like, what was that like for
Hmm.
you?
So I definitely like on our wedding day, I um my mom actually ended up buying like the real flowers for our wedding, which was really great. I was really appreciated by that.
That's a big step.
Yeah, like I was just like, "Oh wow, okay. This is awesome." And I also felt like they showed up and they're showing up because they know I'm happy. But I also felt like this, but they're also like not happy about it,
Sure,
you
because they're
know?
in the middle of their process, or
Yeah.
maybe not even the middle, but they're in their process. So
Mhm.
I can see that. I probably experienced something similar to that as well.
Yeah.
Uh, but they showed up, like, that's big.
Which was I was so shocked by it.
They
I
brought
was
you
like, I don't even
flowers.
know how to respond. And I was just my happy self, like just so happy that they showed up.
I love
And
it.
it was a smaller wedding, so we had everyone that we wanted there, and
I
it was great.
Right? I remember going to,
Yeah.
my first, gay couple wedding, and it was a dear, dear friend of mine, he and his soon to be husband, and I just remember thinking, one, I still felt a little bit weird because I was in that process of still really owning that for
Mhm.
myself and what that could be like and the possibilities, and getting to watch, that makes me emotional. Getting to watch what I saw on that day, and, just the energy that was there and the love that was there and the support that was there was so, one, invigorating and encouraging. And,
Mhm.
I remember when we got married, we actually took, um, a piece of what we saw in their ceremony and used it in ours. And,
Mm.
um, and I don't know what the response was from yours, but how people responded. But even today, so Shawnee and I are coming upon our 4-year anniversary. Even today, people will say, that was the most loving wedding I have ever been to. They're like, I felt loved. And it was your wedding, but I felt love. And it was just the most amazing thing. And so, what was the response of people in regards to you guys being married? Oh, looks like she froze. And now she's disappeared. Hopefully she'll come back here soon. Let me just messenger. And so, okay, so if you're listening, still here listening, um, I would love to hear like your response to, let me just message her really quick, to whether or not you yourself have been to a same-sex wedding, what your experience was like at that wedding, and why did you choose to go? Why were you invited to go? And hold on, let me just send her a quick message. Um, hey, try the link again. I have no idea why this kicks me off. And if any of you are Be Live users, I would love your assistance. Um, try the link again. Anyway, so what was your experience? What was that like for you? Especially if you grew up in a religious home or a religious environment, and how it differs from maybe what you grew up in. I know for me, I had a lot of judgment around weddings and other things that were different from what I grew up in. And it took me a while. It actually took me being gay and recognizing that part of myself to let go of those judgments. So I would love to hear from you what your experience was that way. And then just as we get ready to end this conversation, to just take into account that you just maybe choose to be a little more mindful and maybe a little more open hearted to differences, and recognizing that it's the differences that make this life so sweet. It's the differences that create the puzzle pieces that come together. It's the different ingredients and the different elements that make art beautiful and baked goods amazing. If we used all the same ingredients, like we just have a blob of butter or a blob of, eggs or whatever, and um, so just being mindful of like what differences really mean and what they could mean. Um, and that it's something that's so beautiful in our world when we choose to make it that way. For myself, again, I went through some pretty judgmental phases based off of what I believed and what I believed to be right and true, and and it took some really tough experiences to rub off or sand off some of those rough edges so that I could really see and experience things differently. Okay, let me just make sure that this is not her. Hold on. Not sure why it's not letting you on, but will you again just maybe log out and try that link again? Thank you. Again. Thank you for being here. Oh, there she is in the craziness and what feels like mistakes. All right, Katlin, welcome back.
Hi.
We're gonna get that figured out. Anyway, as you were finding your way back to us, I just was just reminding, doing a little dialogue on differences and the judgment that I used to have about what difference meant versus, and then the understanding of recognizing that it's the differences in us that actually make and create the beauty. So,
Yeah.
we're now over the hour, so let's find a really cool way to wrap this up. And what is it that stepping into this, all of you, so that it's allowed you to now be married to Anna, and you guys have a life and a business together, and all the things, back to freedom. Have you experienced that freedom again? What is life like for you now in this space where you don't have to hide anymore? Your family knows. I'm imagining lots of people know, especially now that you're here.
Yes. um what's it like? It's just like pure joy and happiness. It is like, I mean, yeah, we're like all the time, coming out to people, right? Like you never stop. But it's just so
I
much
like to,
easier.
yeah, I like to actually call it inviting people in. I'm not coming out anymore. Like I've
Ah,
opened the door
yes.
and people can come in if they want to and partake of
Yeah.
all of me. Or they can have a shell. Actually, no, they can't, because I just don't allow that into my world anymore.
Inviting people in. I really like that actually. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's like letting people come into your life, setting up your boundaries,
Yeah.
and I get to say what I want my life to be like. And now I'm a business owner with my wife, which I never thought that would ever happen.
Right?
And it's just so much like freedom around that. Because we can go anywhere we want. We don't have to stay in Washington. We can go, we can live anywhere we want.
Could you
And
come to
it's just,
Idaho?
we should come to Idaho. Why not?
Right? I'm just going to put that plug. I'm going to plant those seeds. I'm so happy for you. And I know it's my understanding that this was your first time starting to tell pieces of your story in this kind of way. Is that true?
Well, yes. I was
Okay.
very nervous about it because I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
even know what to share about my story. And it
Yeah.
was perfect. It was, yeah.
I love it. And I love that you allowed me to push you a little bit.
Mhm.
You know, Anna and Katlin and I have a little bit of a push-pull kind of relationship because they are my coaches. Right now, I actually am in a program with them, and they're part of my rebranding process and all of the things. So it's kind of nice that we get to have this relationship where they also see and know my brilliance, and that Katlin allowed me to push on her a little bit, because again, I see the beauty in you, and I see the glow, and I see that you just have so much to offer. And sometimes we just need someone to kick the door open a little bit for us so that we can start sharing those pieces. And again, I want to acknowledge that that's a scary place to be, especially for the first times. So thank you for being willing to like take the step through that door, for accepting my invitation, for accepting my invitation to do it quickly, sooner than later, because then it just gives you time to be more concerned.
Yes.
And to let you know that you did a beautiful job. Thanks for letting us in to some of the more intimate pieces of you and your story and your brilliance here on this planet.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
It really, thank you for letting me have a voice and having that open up, because I have never felt like I could. And me sharing my story on here is definitely like the right path to where I want to go.
I love
So
it.
thank you.
I love it. You're more than welcome. And I'm a believer. And again, this is what I teach to you who hire me, is that your story matters. Your voice matters. And part of what I do is I help you learn to own your story and your voice. And I bring you home right back to yourself, because you have a magic that I don't have. And you have a magic that Katlin doesn't have. And together, all of us together just creates this. I don't even have the word. It just raises the energy. It raises the brilliance and the wonderfulness that this life, that wonderfulness, has to offer. And it just makes life all the more sweet. And so, in my view, the more people that we can help have a voice, the more powerful we become as a person, as a community, as a planet. And that's part of our purpose of being here, opinion. So thank you again. Okay, what are 3 book titles that you just really love, that you think would be good for someone else to read? Any kind of titles. What are some of your favorite books?
Well, I just started reading some like lesbian romance books, which is all new for me, right? So I feel a lot more normal.
Okay.
Like it's
I
great.
have never done that.
No, it's been great. So, do I know the titles of them from the top of my head? I do not.
Okay. Other titles.
What is there's one that's called God and the Gay Christian.
Okay.
I also have really enjoyed reading The Help. They made a movie.
Ooh, yes.
I really like that one.
Okay.
What's another one? I think that's what I have, is the 2.
That works. We'll put down the 2. When you figure out the other one or another one, you can just send it to me and we'll stick it on here.
Okay, perfect.
Oh my gosh. You guys, thank you for welcoming Katlin to the show. and creating a safe space for her to start sharing her story. And thank you for walking through her invitation into her. This has been awesome. I've loved every second. So thank you again. And really quickly before we go, a couple of weeks ago, we had Easton Kelsey on here, and he talked about his 2020 vision program, Healing Your Eyes Without Doctors. His paperback books are now available. He's actually got them in hand. He is willing to autograph them and send a bunch of them to me if you want them. They are $19. If you pick them up from me, they're 22, I believe, if he ships them. So we can just have him sign a bunch and send them to me, or we can personalize them with your name in them and he can send it to you directly. If you would like to have one of those books, I'll make another post with the title of that and the information to get those. This is something you want to look into. Healing Your Eyes Without Doctors. Remember, he also is an eye doctor and he's created this program to actually help you connect with you and the energy that is you and around you to heal specifically your eyes. So he also does consultations, and I'll put that information in as well so that you have that. But oh my gosh, thank you for another fun and amazing live and unscripted. We have some more fun stuff coming up. Our next one is someone who has been an addict, and I don't know her. I don't even know her. I just reached out to her because I saw her stuff on Facebook, and I really loved what she said about this is how many days I don't even get a chip, but I feel like I should celebrate. And I thought, I want to celebrate you too and bring you on live and unscripted. So I think her name is Lauren. I'll make sure that I get that out to you when you need to know it. So until then, remember, be bold, be brave, be a rebel. We'll see you soon.